Hey guys, this week's video is dedicated in memory of Masha Bas Batsheva. This week's Torah portion is another double header, Matot and Masei. And I want to share something that I saw from a colleague of mine on this week's Torah portion. In Parashat Matos, it discusses the idea of making a vow. And when you hear the idea of making a vow, you usually picture this idea. Let's take veggie burgers for an example. Nothing against veggie burgers, but let's say, I will not eat veggie burgers anymore. That's how you view a vow. In Judaism, though, it's actually a little, the prohibition is not on the person, it's on the veggie burger. So instead of saying, I, Rabbi Moshe, will not eat veggie burgers, it is, veggie burgers to me are like hot lava. And the rabbis actually say it's actually more than that. What you're doing is, you're actually sanctifying veggie burgers. And again, just an example. You are saying veggie burgers are so holy that I can't eat them. I can't interact with them. And if you're thinking, this sounds like a very convoluted way of making a vow, well, that question is raised. Why do it like this? Why not say simply, I, Rabbi Moshe, am not going to eat veggie burgers anymore. I vow not to eat veggie burgers anymore. Why do it in such a convoluted way where I vow, because veggie burgers are now holy and sanctified to me, I cannot eat them? Why? So backwards. Well, first, a little context. In Judaism, the question is asked, are vows a good thing or a bad thing? Meaning, is this an ideal we should try and do? To swear off, to vow off, I don't know if that's a real term, things in this world from us? Or is it false piety? What is it? And the commentaries go back and forth on this. And like most things in Judaism, it depends, right? If somebody has a struggle with something, a certain temptation, that's really hard for them to overcome, then making a vow adds another guardrail in overcoming that struggle and overcoming that temptation. If somebody does not struggle with that thing, so let's say veggie burgers, somebody does not struggle with veggie burgers, then swearing off veggie burgers is pointless. Not only is it pointless, it's not advisable in Judaism. But if somebody really does struggle with veggie burgers, again, an example, then making a guardrail and a vow is not a bad idea. Okay, what does this have to do with anything, right? Very often, when we do struggle with a temptation, the easiest way of doing it is to view the negative things within it. So let's, again, veggie burgers, your phone, certain relationships, right? If you want to stay away from something, you find why it's bad for you, right? So you say, I'm not going to eat this anymore because it is horrible, it's disgusting, it's horrible for my health, or whatever it is. I make bad decisions when I do this. You view the negative within it. But the Torah in this week's Torah portion is trying to teach us there's another way of doing it. You can make a vow. What's the idea of a vow? Is instead sanctifying it by highlighting the positives within it. Meaning the reason why you can't interact with it is not because it's so bad, but because its source, and in Kabbalah it talks about this, that everything has a divine source. And something that you find you struggle with, many times it's because the divine source is really high, and that's your special mission to overcome. And that's why it's harder for you than somebody else to face that temptation. But it's not because it's a bad thing. So many of the temptations in the world are not bad. In the right context, they're extremely holy. In the right context. And so when we say something is sanctified, we're saying right now, maybe that's too much for me. It's too potent. I'm allergic to it. I can't handle it. That's what a vow is. And this is a powerful lesson for life because so often, instead of highlighting the negative, we can highlight the positive and still say it's not for me. It's too good, it's really powerful, but it's a little too much right now. I can't handle that. When darkness creeps into our life, we don't have to get down and dirty and fight with it. Fight with the temptation. We could turn the light on, and the darkness disappears. We realize it is special. And one day I'll be able to handle it in the right way. Shabbat Shalom.